You're ready to finally take the plunge and paint with the almighty Bob Ross, but where do you begin? You can't just take your favorite painting tutorial and look at it and go, oh, that's pretty, I'll paint that. You don't know if that painting is difficult or that tutorial is tough, which is why in this video right here, I'm gonna give you the top 10 easiest Bob Ross painting tutorials that you can follow along with. I'm gonna share with you why they're easy, where you can find them, and how they're gonna make you a better painter by building that confidence. Here we go. Hey, what is going on, all you awesome and beautiful Bob Ross painters? Wild here to help you on your creative adventures. Now, when we talk about the easiest Bob Ross painting tutorials, gonna do you a favor, and in the lower thirds down here, I'm not sure if it's this corner or this corner, I will put a nice little caption there for you so you know what painting we're talking about and what season and episode to find it at, so that way you can type it right into YouTube. And by the way, all these tutorials are found right on YouTube, and without further ado, let's jump right into the list. Number 10, we have The Final Grace Season 2, Episode 13. Now this one does have some hard clouds for beginners to do because they have multiple layers that you have to paint on. However, this tutorial makes the list for the mountain ridges. The first set of mountains is really easy if you struggle with mountains in general. The ridge is distant and mostly flat, so you don't have to worry about angles or edges. The paint breaks here are super easy. Since the mountain basically goes straight down, all you need to do is take your palette knife and follow softly straight down with it. You don't have to worry about paint breaks too often because since the mountain ridge is so far back, it just has to be soft to create the illusion. The second set of mountains is more or less the same thing. However, this is more at a 45-degree angle. You only have one direction that you have to take your knife, making it much easier to add snow on top of these mountains. The rest of the elements and assets in this painting are a little difficult and intimidating to do with all the multiple layers and highlights, which is why this one's at number 10. Number 9, Winter Mist, Season 1, Episode 4. Now at first glance, when you see this one, it looks tough, but I assure you, it's a lot easier than you think. Partially because this one is very forgiving for mud mixers. The colors blend well here, and if you end up over blending or mud mixing, it's actually gonna work in your favor. You can't really mess up the clouds here because it's gonna add more depth or even add more into that storm effect in the sky. When you get to the mountain here, I know, trust me, it looks intimidating because it's so big and it's so girthy. I know women love girth, but don't be intimidated by it. Take a look at this video in the top right corner where I teach you how to do an easy little hack on big mountains or mountains that are closer to you by slicing snow on it. Any beginning painter can learn this little hack, and it's gonna help you build confidence as you're trying to learn paint break. So make sure you check out that video right there. It is all about that girth after all. At least that's what my ex-wife said. God, I miss her. Moving on. The remaining landscape for this painting is 50-50. The snowbanks are easy to do, and in fact, they're actually rewarding since they add so much depth to the painting. However, the trees and the cabin can be tough. My tip here is to do the trees and actually skip the cabin completely if you're a brand new painter, because when you're starting out, trust me, cabins are the devil. Number 8, we have Gray Winter, Season 7, Episode 11. This one makes the list because it's one of the only paintings where I remember Bob Ross being extremely loose with his clouds. And this works really well for new painters that feel that they have to follow everything to the T. Just be loose here and have some fun. Trust me, if you can do that, you're gonna get some awesome results. A big portion here is the mid-ground, which is actually really easy to do with the distant trees, followed by non-difficult snowbanks and foliage. Most of the foliage here is just dark base color followed by liquid white highlights, which in my personal opinion is the easiest way to start learning how to do highlights on top of things in the wet and wet style. So this is perfect for all you brand new painters out there. I'm already gonna put it out there in the universe. If I have to say the word foliage a lot, it's gonna start ending up sounding like foliage. So don't get me down there in those YouTube comments. It's hard to say that word for me, at least. I don't know why. The struggles of being a YouTuber. Number 7, Winter Evergreens, Season 9, Episode 1. If you're a fan of warm winter looks, then Winter Evergreens is your go-to. You paint a bright and beautiful morning winter sky in an easy to do circular motion. The mountain here is much more manageable. Since it's not a center focal point, it just fades off into nothing. This makes it less intimidating for new painters. There are a lot of trees in this painting, which yes, can be difficult and the devil for most of you out there, but these ones are way more manageable. Just use a decent amount of dark color, keep your zigzag motion fairly narrow when making your tree, and then add some liquid white for highlight, and that's it. If you can keep to this simple formula, you're gonna have one easy and awesome landscape painting. This painting tutorial here, I would say, would probably be the go-to if you wanna practice your trees or if you struggle with your trees, because this one is a good one. Number 6, Mountain Stream, Season 11, Episode 1. Okay. Stick with me on this one. The clouds on this one are really awesome, but can be hard to do if you don't pay attention to one of the tips I tell you in one of my past videos. I have shared with you a few times that you need to leave some blank space in your sky so your clouds have something to stick onto and get less contaminated. I'm gonna put a video in this top right corner that shows you that tip and more in depth, plus some other ones that's gonna help you dominate clouds. But if you can do that, this painting is actually a lot easier and you're gonna have clouds that are probably gonna be your best ones you've ever painted. The midground in this painting is a lot more manageable since it's all basically just dark sap green, making it way easier just to block in shapes that will form a landscape midground. This is also one of the easiest foregrounds from Bob Ross. Just row and row of grassy fields leading into a river. This one is really good because it's basically just painting the same elements like clouds, trees, and grass over and over, allowing you to basically practice on your skills, hone them so that way you can be a wet on wet master. Hey, wild cutting in here real quick before we continue the rest of our top 5 here. I wanna know, do you find this list interesting? Because I'm thinking about actually doing a top 10 hardest Bob Ross paintings to follow along with. Also, while we're here, I would really love it if you could like, subscribe, and comment down below. And if you actually do like this type of content, you can go above and beyond and help this channel grow by helping me by becoming a YouTube channel member for the low price of $1. I love you all, take care, and now back to the top 5. Number 5, Blue Winter, Season 21, Episode 10. If you are struggling with clouds and mountains, this tutorial is perfect for you. Even though the clouds are a little more in depth here, Bob spends a little more time showing you the motion to form these awesome clouds. You also have a low chance of mud mixing your clouds due to the fact that the sky background is only a little bit of color, so you won't contaminate your brush or dilute your white in your clouds. Okay, I know. Paint breaks are tough because you tell me all the time in my YouTube comments and in the DMs that you send me. The good news for this one right here is you just have to rub them in with the palette knife to create a soft, distant snow effect. This is way easier to do, and it's a lot less frustrating. A lot of the elements in this painting are more or less distant, so they can be a lot softer, hence you don't have to struggle over making small and fine details, making it ideal for new painters. Number 4, Peaceful Waters, Season 3, Episode 13. In this one, we will get the almighty Steve Ross to teach us a very simple landscape painting that contains all the key elements of a Bob Ross landscape. The reason this one makes the list is because I noticed you'll see a lot of Steve's strokes are slower and a lot easier to follow, which is super clutch for any new painter out there struggling to understand what Bob or Steve is doing. No joke, this one's awesome because you see Steve go so much slower with his strokes, it actually clicks for you so that way you can apply it to your canvas. In addition to the slow strokes, you also get a lot more close-ups in this video. You get to see the breaks on the mountain, you get to see how much paint goes on Steve's brush for highlights, and much more, which again is gonna help you and any new painter out there. Number 3, Purple Splendor, Season 4, Episode 1. This one has to be one of the easiest limited palette paintings that is an eye grabber. In fact, it's actually one of my favorites. This painting is basically all done with shades of purple. The reason this painting is so easy is because it's minimalistic. It's just a simple sky, distant tree line, a few snow banks, and some pine trees. Now there is a cabin when you do this painting, but in all honesty, I like this painting without it. And when you remove the cabin, you actually have a simpler painting to do, which is why I would just say remove it, keep it with the minimalistic feel that it has, and that popping of purple color is gonna make it super eye-catching. But this one is probably one of my top easiest Bob Ross painting tutorials that I recommend you do. And of course, if you're feeling gutsy, go ahead and add that cabin in there. Number 2, Old Home Place, Season 17, Episode 2. If you want a painting with a soft and colorful sky with clouds that won't give you any trouble, well, this painting is for you. This painting has the easiest blending skies that pop with a soft morning color. Soft grass fields that are surprisingly easy to tap in, and you don't really need too much color. Hence, it's gonna help you not mud mix, which is what we want for you. Now, this painting, again, does have a cabin, but in all honesty, I think it's one of the easiest cabins to attempt. It's a lot bigger of a cabin. Yeah, it's gonna use more color that you're going to need, but since it's so big, it's a little more forgiving. Now again, you can leave the cabin out if you want and go with a more minimalistic approach, which in fact, I actually recommend if you're just starting out. Just paint the rest of the foreground and you literally have perhaps what might be the easiest Bob Ross painting tutorial. Except we still got one more that I think is even way easier. Number 1, Blue Moon, Season 3, Episode 2. This one is a black canvas seascape. And right off the bat, I'm going to admit to you that I think black canvases are way easier to do. I don't know why. It has something to do with the way that the colors work or the fact that you get more contrast so things click. But whatever it is, black canvas for the win. This has to be perhaps the easiest Bob Ross seascape. Heck, Bob even admits that in the very beginning of this video.
Today I thought we'd do a fantastic little seascape. This is a very simple little painting that's quite easy to do, and I think it'll stir your imagination and lead you on to bigger and better things.
This painting has a limited color palette, so new painters won't have an issue with swapping colors or mud mixing. You can easily create any sky that has a little bit of color pop and motion in it, and it only requires a few simple strokes that any beginning painter can do. If you struggle with clouds, trust me, you won't in this one. You basically just scratch them in a zigzag motion. Anyone can do that, trust me, I know, because I've painted this one myself. One of the reasons I like this painting so much is you will learn the most basic and introductory way to get confident with the palette knife, building ocean waves and reflections. You're also gonna build waves with just simple single strokes of a fan brush. It's non-intimidating at all. In fact, you're gonna be amazed at all the cool stuff as a newbie painter that you can do with just like some simple strokes. It's like mind-blowing. When it comes to the rocks and the trees, they are easier to do to the fact that they're basically just one color. It's just essentially black because it's a silhouette. And the cool part is, if you're a newbie or a brand new painter and you're worried about mud mixing at this point, you can actually just leave the painting how it is and come back the next day and allow that ocean and background layer to tacky up. So when you put things in like the rocks or the palm tree, you can just put it on so easily because since it's tackied up, your paint's just gonna flow and you don't have to worry about mud mixing that background at all. It's a smart little hack, so I would actually recommend doing that if you're just starting out, because if you do that, trust me, like I can't even think of words, your painting is gonna be awesome for a very first attempt. This one right here is the best one. Now I know what you're thinking. There's probably one that should be number 1, and we're all thinking it, The Grandeur of Summer, which is a great one for the sheer fact that it's a full hour tutorial and Bob goes into it more in depth. But that one has a lot of the key elements that you're probably gonna struggle with right off the bat, and I don't want that for you. This video right here goes over the top 10 easiest ones that introduce you to certain layers that I know that you can do, like clouds, backgrounds, mountains, some trees, some hills, some water, some snow. If you can learn to dominate each one of those in an easy state, you're gonna build so much confidence by the time you do the Grandeur of Summer, you're gonna knock it out of the park, and that's what I want for you. However, there's even easier wet on wet landscape painting tutorials that I recommend. You can take a look at the videos over here to the side, which are the ones that I've done that are gonna teach you how to build your skills, but more importantly, teach you how to build confidence. Take a look at those videos over there, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.